Welcome to episode 2 of Truth Seekers. It's funny that I call it Truth Seekers when there's another podcast called Truth Seekers. So it's interesting. This episode, I kind of want to focus more on clearly defining what I really want to do with this whole thing. I want to go through the arguments of Christianity and talk more about why they choose the arguments that they do, and to go over the reasons why their arguments fail so desperately. There's a lot of arguments that tend to go out there, uh, especially when it comes to like science and all that stuff. And one of the biggest obvious arguments is the Bible says so. The Bible is the inerrant word of God, and that's just what they Christians choose to point towards. Now, the reason why I am going after Christianity is more of the political alignment is going towards Christian nationalism, and it's starting to become a very scary place. Not gonna lie, very scary, especially since it's going to change a lot of things. It's already happening, and people don't realize it. They're thinking this Trump character is such a good guy, and then not seeing what is happening. And funny thing is, a lot of Christian nationalists are like, yes, we need to be a Christian nation. However, there's not a single Christian nation that has ever done well. Not a single one. You can go Google it, go check your sources, check my sources, but you will not find a single nation that is doing well. Right now, there is one that you could consider doing well, and that's Hungary. Hungary. You get what I'm talking about. But the problem with that is it's not doing well. It's not doing well at all. The only reason it's still afloat is because it's getting a lot of help from the European nations. European, I think it's the economy thing. So they're doing well. They're doing great. But not great, as in they're doing swell. A lot of the problem with these nations is there's a lot of discourse, and the discourse is not being handled correctly. There's a lot of the problem that's going to happen in America, which is the problem in these other nations, is there's going to be those people who are the outliers, the trans people, the gay people. All those are going to be then subjugated. Subjugated, I think, is the word. They're going to be put in their own little spot, and eventually they might lose their freedoms altogether, since they all obviously Christians don't want gays getting married, even though that's just a legal thing and that gives them benefits. It's ridiculous to say that they can't. There's the whole abortion thing, which is going to make problems later on. There's so many things that Christians have such a heart for because of their religious views. And if they were to check their sources, they would understand more. But instead, they're just given these lies and are told believe in the lies and just accept that God has it all. Yep. Just accept the imaginary God is going to take care of everything. Right? Right. So the idea is to go through those lies and start to pull apart the Bible. More or less the arguments. I don't even have to actually honestly touch the Bible. The Bible can destroy itself. I could probably give you counter arguments like God supports slavery, all this other stuff, and my idea is not to give the counter arguments to everything because Christians have heard it over and over and over again. The one thing that Christians don't normally hear is the truth of the lies that they've been told. So, what are the lies? What is okay? First of all, what does Christians do? Well, I guess we need to set that first. So, what Christians do is they tend to take verses out of the Bible and then interpret it, extrapolate it, and then push it out as truth. So, one of the biggest and cases is Isaiah chapter 14, which talks about the Lucifer, which is not correct. Not correct. We'll start with that lie first because that's obviously one of the biggest ones. And even as a Christian, when I grew up as a Christian, I was like, I looked at that chapter very closely, and I was like, this isn't talking about Satan at all. This has nothing to do with Satan. This has to do with the King of Tyr. I don't understand how we even got to Satan. Like somebody must have had a vivid imagination and was very creative with their metaphors, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, this has to do. This is actually talking about this Satan." It's actually probably a lie that somebody didn't have a sermon ready and was like, "What can I make out of this chapter that is morally correct and makes me look good. Oh, you know what? Let's make it about Satan." What? Like how did you get this? We can actually even look at some of the verses. I didn't actually bring up the verses. I'd rather actually not, but if I have to look at the Bible, that's fine. So Isaiah 14 prophesies the Lord's future mercy and restoration for Israel and judgment upon the oppressors, including the king of Babylon. Oh, this was actually the king of Babylon. I think the king of Tyr was in Ezekiel. I think it was Ezekiel. Um, it talks about the pride and downfall. The king's Babylon pride is highlighted as he declares his intention to ascend to heaven and sit on the highest throne. However, he'll be brought down to the grave and his legacy will be destroyed. The description of the morning star, son of the dawn, which was figurative language for Lucifer. However, that is not so. It was the downfall of the arrogant king of Babylon. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and he will choose Israel and settle them in their own land. The strangers will join with them, and they will cling to the house of Jacob. And then this is where I guess a lot of people take Satan, and again, it's just cherry picking. It's like that's what Christians do, is they cherry pick information. It's not that they take the whole thing. Like if you read Isaiah 14 and logically know history and information, then you would know that they're talking about Babylon. But the problem is during the time of when we didn't have the internet, when we didn't have all this information, people were extrapolating information from the Bible, and because a lot of people aren't history nerds back then, you could easily come up with anything, anything. There are so many creeds today that are not in the original church, and there are so many things that have been added. And it's funny because we pointed the Christians, when I was used to be a Protestant, used to point at Catholics and was like, "Oh my gosh, they're adding so much to the Bible." But then so did the Protestants. The Protestants added so much to the Bible without even touching a word. It's so funny how that actually happens. Like, we didn't actually add anything into the Bible. We just took everything out of the Bible and extrapolated it and made books about it and talked about how Satan is gonna rule the world someday and all this other crap. So, like, if we're gonna cherry pick, then information is no longer information. It's reality is not reality. It's what you decide reality is, because you decided to cherry pick. Now, if you're gonna really take reality, you got to take all the information, even if it goes against your ideas. So history says otherwise on Isaiah chapter 14. It talks about the true king of Babylon and all that stuff, and doesn't talk about Lucifer whatsoever. But are you actually going to go look all up all that information to know that your source is correct, or are you just going to listen to a pastor who's just preaching? I'm just wondering. Like, there's all these like things that Christians come up with is ridiculous. Like, absolutely and utterly ridiculous. Another lie is like the whole gay thing. First of all, let's just get this straight. Paul had opinions. Paul did not actually have a likeness. He did not enjoy or like Peter. Peter's the one who started most of the religion of today. Christianity is literally on the rock of Peter, figuratively speaking. Ha. Um, so, like, Paul was the one who continued to spread the religion, but Paul also didn't agree with a lot of the things Peter did. Like, they had contradictions. So a lot of what Paul was saying was 100% his opinion. And what's crazy is there was a book that was created by a woman that was supposed to that contradicted Paul's writings. And guess who won? Paul did, not her. Uh, the woman's name, and I'm going to butcher it, but if it's Thecla, I believe it's she was a Greek. Thecla, Thecla. I honestly can't say her name for the life of me. But if you there's a few people you could probably look up on YouTube to find more information. A lot of the people I listen to are were used to be Christians. There's Alex O'Connor. Actually, I don't know if Alex O'Connor was a Christian, but I know he looked for Christianity. Uh, there's Cosmic Skeptic. Wait, is that? Pretty sure Cosmic Skeptic is who I think he is. There's Holy Kool Aid. Don't do the Holy Kool Aid. If you want science, Forrest Valkai is my number one science nerd. He is my favorite. Um, there are a few others that I really, really, really enjoy. I just genetically modified skeptic. Oh, that's it. Genetically modified skeptic. That's the other one. So I would honestly listen to some of these people. If you're a Christian and you listen to this, please go listen to other arguments against your faith. Because if you really want to stand your faith up against the brains of other people who actually have the information, more information, especially Holy Kool-Aid, he showed me history. Forrest Valkai showed me science. Genetically modified skeptic provided more information on the truths behind the meanings of Christianity. For instance, hell, that's the biggest one. We were always scared of hell, but I don't think I was ever fully scared of it. But I was also a Christian, so that makes sense that I wasn't scared of it. I was never told, "Hey, you're going to hell," except this one part of where was told that, especially with all the it's long stories, long story. So the biggest thing is when we look at the Bible, we have to look at all the information that's tied to reality. If there's any contradiction, it needs to be looked at. Like, you can't just say, "Oh, that contradiction is irrelevant." No, 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 no. If if you're going to skip over irrelevancies, then you are not being true to yourself. You have to look at the truth because Christianity doesn't follow reality. It doesn't at all. There's nothing in reality about it. Now, are there good things about Christianity like forgiveness, mercy? Oh yeah, 100%. I agree with all those. I think it's wonderful that we created them, and I can say the Bible definitely puts a lot of effort on them. Did the Bible create morality? Absolutely not. But as I continue on, I want to go over arguments, and I'm going to just pick arguments that I've heard over and over and over and over again. Like, there's literally, what are they called? Like, something, when a Christian starts talking about something, you know where they're going with it. Like, as soon as they say the words, certain words, you're just like, ah, great. There's the cosmology, yeah, cosmological argument. There's there's the one where like if you choose Christianity, and what do you have to lose and what do you have to gain? Argument. I forget what that's called. There's so many arguments that it's really hard for me to remember all of them. So biggest thing with me is that I focus mostly on not trying to prove Christianity wrong, but I just want Christians to understand the lies, the misinformation, and the cherry picking. If you're going to cherry pick, you got something, you're just not being truthful at all. I would almost go with cherry picking as being arrogant, deceitful, but I don't want to put it on that because a lot of Christians cherry pick, and I can't say all Christians are cherry pickers, even though they are. But I don't want to say a lot of bad things about that because people with little information, so ignorance, definitely creates cherry picking. Once you start to understand and become more understanding of what's going on, you're less likely to cherry pick. I think the more information you gain, the better life will be for you. It's like if you were to start learning how health works, right? You start learning how protein affects your body, how sugar affects your liver, how medicines affect you. Like how much information do you know about the food that you're eating? A lot of people would normally say none at all or just a little bit. But but when you actually start to understand how bread affects your gluten affects you, how bread affects you, how sugars affect you, how carbs affect you, you start to understand more and more about your body and what you can do and adequately change your diet so that it benefits you the most because I bet you want to feel great. But I feel like there are people who have learned what the truth is and then are like, nah, I'm just going to say that bread is good for you. Sugar is all good for you. It's delicious. You should eat more sugar because it gives you energy. Okay, sure. And then they're going to just like create lies to say that why sugar is beneficial for you and all this other crap. Like people don't understand sugars. It's ridiculous how many things that people say, "Oh, you're you survive on sugar." Yes, you survive on glucose, but artificial sugar isn't just plain glucose. So there's a lot of things you don't understand about the liver that you should really understand before you start spouting nonsense that you have no idea what you're talking about. And even then, even now, I can't say much about it because I don't remember the things that I was told. If I don't remember the things I was told, I shouldn't actually be talking about it. That includes the arguments that are provided. Like, if, and by the way, if you listen to a Christian argument, you should be going out and checking that argument, seeing if that argument is actually valid. Does this argument actually have any truth to it? What are the contradictions to it? This is critical thinking, people. Like, this is why science has gone this far, is because people looked at it and didn't just believe it. Like, I will say one of the biggest arguments that Christians have is that the origin of species was wrong. The origin of species isn't wrong. It got a few things right, and it got a few things wrong. But because we took it and started to look at it and made more educated understanding, educated, what are they? What is the science things? They created theories. Now there's a lot to creating theories, and I'm basically melting it down. But the idea is that we took information, we went and looked for more truth about the information that we know is correct, and then we found information that contradicted our information, so we changed it. This is called science, people. And not just that, it's critical thinking. Because if you're gonna just take all the information in and not critically think about it, you're ignorant. And if you're not even going to try to test your knowledge and information, you're arrogant. And I don't like arrogant people. I do not like when I become arrogant. I hate it. I hate it. I hate not when somebody comes up to me and I fight vehemently for saying this is true, and then I go and look at information and find that what I was saying was wrong, and I'm like, crap, I was just arrogant there, and now I have to redo everything, and people are going to be less likely to believe me. And that's the biggest thing. Like, I am infallible. I am a human. I am going to make mistakes in my knowledge, but the idea is to, in the Christian words, repent. But no, the idea is to change your knowledge and information to fit reality. If it fits reality, that's truth. If it doesn't fit reality, you better at least make sure that it does. Cause like, you need to keep learning. That's the idea. Is to keep learning, keep making new information, keep finding valid information that either supports or deny. And the idea is not even to support your criteria. You're not supposed to take an idea and try to support it. The idea is to actually find all the contradictions. Where does the contradiction lie? And if you can find contradictions, great. It means you are learning, because it means you need to change your information and become better. Now, if there is contradictions and somebody comes up with an idea that contradicts yours, go search that up. See if there are contradictions to their ideas. Like, it's a constant learning. Like, if you ever stop learning, if you ever stop critical thinking, you've become a mindless drone. And one of my favorite Christians is Friedrich Bonhoeffer. I didn't actually know a lot about him until I recently watched a video on why he, out of all the Germans that were supporting the Nazi regime, why he decided to go against them. And he wrote a book about why they decided, not why they decided, why they were tricked into thinking this, that the Nazi regime was the right political party that was doing its best for the people. Yeah, they thought that. Many philosophers, psychologists, people with PhDs believed that that Hitler was doing the right thing. So it's crazy, right? Except Bonhoeffer, he didn't. And sadly enough, he died 3 days before the Nazi regime fell. So that's unfortunately a sad thing. But his words still live on. If you're going to stop critically thinking, if you're going to fail at testing every point, you're just becoming a mindless drone. And do you know how many mindless drones support political problems? A lot of them. There's a lot of people who support the problems of the political parties that they support. The left isn't always right. The right isn't always right. It's funny that that's the case. Anyway, um, so we have to be careful about what we decide to support, because if we support something, we need to know all the facts about it. And yes, we can come to the logical conclusion of something, and sometimes we will disagree. There are points in which we will disagree, and that's very valid. There are a lot of problems right now, especially I'll say one of the biggest one is abortion. Abortion is really difficult to agree on, and it should be very heavily debated because it just people aren't going to agree on what actually is the truth of it. So everybody has their ideas, and to be honest, there's no honest reality on it. It's just what you choose on at that point. It's what you choose. But when it comes to being a Christian and supporting Christian nationalism, it's where I have a little bit of a problem, because you're starting to infringe on other people's freedoms, which is against the whole reason the United States is even here in the first place. It was originally for religious freedoms, but freedom for everyone. But now you're trying to attack trans people, gay rights, and all this other stuff, and that's 100% un-American. It's crazy. I honestly didn't want to make this political. I'm just going into the fact that the reason why I am doing all of this is to open the eyes of Christians to critical thinking. Because unfortunately, the biggest problem is people listen to lies. They don't go and check their information, and they become these feel people who feel things. Honestly, if the Nazi regime, if we didn't know anything about Nazis, let's say we Nazis never occurred, right? I have a feeling that America could easily become another Nazi regime if people don't wake up to the reality that they're supporting things without ever thinking about it. And I'm not saying we're going towards not communism, and especially Nazi, but who knows? It might happen. Christian nationalism might occur. It's just a dangerous idea. It's like it's not even political. It's not even religious. Like, it's all about thinking. Please just think things through. Find all the information. Continue to contradict yourself. Continue to find information that doesn't support your worldview. Because if that information doesn't support your worldview, figure out why it doesn't. And don't make excuses on why it doesn't. Figure it out. Because if it doesn't figure it out, maybe the information you originally learned isn't actually true. Maybe you're just believing in a lie that's been told to you over and over and over again, which unfortunately happens all the frickin' time. Like, there's so many things that people believe in that made no sense at all. Women were burned at the stake because people thought they were witches. Did anybody critically think about it? No, of course not. People thought prayer would save people from medical problems. No, that doesn't happen. Sorry, there's no such thing. Does cancer disappear on its own? Sometimes. Yep. It happens. Your body is very resilient. There's a lot of things you don't know about the body that uh like a doctor, sometimes doctors won't even know what's happening to the body. Like there's so many scientific things we don't know, and the fact that we're claiming God in all of it is ridiculous. If you really 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 want to learn more information, learn it, but don't become a mindless drone. Figure it out. That's what I urge, and that's what I hope to uh, fully continue to push. This is why this series that I'm creating, this podcast I'm creating, is called Truth Seekers. It's not to find truth in Christianity. It's not to find truth in atheism, even though atheism isn't a religion. It's just a. It's not even a belief. It's just a. I'm not going to accept religion. I'm not going to accept a God. Um, and that's not because we don't want to accept a God. It's because we can't accept the God without proof. And that is how we should live. We should live always trying to find the proof, or not even the proof, but the contradictions. Find the false so that you know what true is true. That's how it works. Now, scientifically, I don't know how that works. You'd have to ask Forrest Valkai. I might actually be wrong on that information. I bet Forrest Valkai could actually teach me how to think more critically, but I listen to him all the time, and I love listening to him. I support him 100%. I don't support him financially, but I do support him. So I will gladly say, hey, go check him out. So, anyway, thanks for listening. Uh, Episode 3 will be more of the lies. I'm gonna go with lies first, because there's lies, there's cherry picking, and then there's ignorance. So, because a lot of people don't know a lot about evolution, like a lot of Christians think this one way of evolution, and it's so wrong. A lot of people think this one way about history, and they're so wrong. It's crazy. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna do lies first because I think that's the biggest one. And I'm not choosing, and I'm not putting cherry picking with lies. I'm putting cherry picking with. Wait, I said lies. Yeah, I'm keeping cherry picking in its own group, because I believe Christians cherry pick all the time. You've got to, in order to be in the religion. I was cherry picking most of the time, even though I knew a lot about the Bible. Like I had doubts, but I was like, nah, I'll just keep with the information I have, and it makes sense. Even though I didn't know it, that the Bible supported slavery. Haha. Anyway, again, thank you for watching. I hope to create more episodes. Aren't watching? I said watching. Listening. Thank you for listening. You have a good one, and stay skeptic.